With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of discovering the last donut.
Ooh.
And it has your name on it, literally, in chocolate sprinkly things.
No way.
Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
How long ago was it that the Miami Heat ended the winning streak of the Boston Celtics?
It's close to 2 weeks. I'll check it out right now.
It was the Wednesday just before Thanksgiving.
Okay. The reason I ask is because on that day we had a conversation, and it was one of those sports radio conversations about, is it time to hit the panic button? One version of those. And Mike Ryan at that time was very confident about his Heat beating the Celtics that night, and said there is no reason to panic. Nobody worry. It'll get sorted out. And I asked him at that time, but if it doesn't? And then he's like, well, trade deadline, or these guys, all these contracts can be traded. And so I'm like, well, but that sounds like panic. That sounds like panic to go from there to all these contracts can be traded. And then he comes in today and he's clapping his hands because he's like, hey, they can be traded. Like that, he's celebrating it as like a day, as a happy day in Heat history, the day that all of the that terrible Olynyk contract can be sent someplace else.
Got some value.
Really? He does?
Yeah. You would think that would be the worst contract, but no. Do not challenge Dion Waiters because woof.
Well, what's happened with you and Dion? Like, I mean,
he broke my heart.
Mike.
He broke my heart. I thought we changed him.
Mike.
He was so good last year, but now he's overweight and he's old Dion Waiters again, and he's scoring 17 points on 18 shots, and it's just he's a turnstile, and the belly is a belly. Did you see that picture from Mexico with the way the sun was hitting and the moobs?
He was so fit last year.
So fit. He was always posting shirtless photos, and over the summer I was like, it's weird. Like, Dion always posts photos of him working out. I guess, he's just enjoying the offseason. And yeah, he enjoyed it. I miss seeing shirtless photos of Dion Waiters and holding it up as culture.
Well, money will do that to you.
Well, here's the thing that we have not begun discussing yet. And this will be interesting to see, because I cannot begin to tell you how much of an offense and affront this is to people like Spoelstra and Pat Riley, the idea that they can't reach someone about basic conditioning. And you are now entering an area where if they don't start winning and he doesn't start playing well, he specifically is going to be a problem, because he's like, I ain't going to no bench. And he signed that contract and said, my team now. I saw what happened when you guys didn't have me last year at the end of the year. My team now. Right. And he's always thought like that. He thinks my team now, no matter who he's playing with. But now it's worse than it's ever been. And now you are headed directly toward a problem, which is the problem with giving big contracts to knuckleheads like you.
But Dan, if you're the Heat and you think, hey, we could change people, we could change their attitudes.
That's fine.
Change
There's ego in that. That's the way you lose LeBron, right? That's the way you lose LeBron, is you go there to Las Vegas thinking that you've already got him wrapped up. There's ego there.
Right.
They made so many strides with Hassan, and James Johnson's a good testament to culture. I mean, why isn't Dion Waiters still a good testament to culture?
This is what I'm telling you. The power of being Dion Waiters is stronger than whatever you think of Heat culture. That was not Heat culture that motivated Dion Waiters to fitness last year. That was a contract year at a time that he had bet on himself and signed a contract for $2 million or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, they renounced his original contract, so he was extra offended by that. Yeah, he's not about culture now. The only culture he's about is a blood culture to make sure his cholesterol's okay.
But you could see how the Heat would be tricked by that, right? You spend a year with someone, and he acts the way you want him to act. He gets in shape. He has the best season of his career, and you could see how the Heat would fall for that.
You are not allowed to be tricked by Dion Waiters.
Tone.
It was a joke.
Oh. Well, there was still tone in that joke, yeah. I mean, is that what we're doing now? If you do it in the form of a joke, then we don't have to pay fines here? Like, if you get a name wrong and you're telling a joke, then it doesn't count? How does that work? If I read the internet wrong, but I chalk it up to a joke, do I not have to pay the money? It's $1.
I heard Mike find me in your headset.
He
first.
did not. He asked me for $1. And I have no money in my pocket today.
You're not allowed to be fooled by Dion Waiters, Stugotz.
That's a lot better the way that you said it.
No, but I mean, I thought it was funnier the other way.
Take it back.
No, you guys don't think it's funnier to yell as if furious? You are not allowed to get fooled by Dion Waiters?
Your anger is really not helping this situation because I'm at a culture crossroads right now because I thought we reached him. And I don't know if it's the ankle.
All right,
and
hold on a second. Hold on. Allison, can you put this on the poll, please? Put this on the poll. Guillermo's out today, feeding his neuroses. Put it on the poll. Who's the guilty one here? Is it Mike's defensiveness or Dan's tone? Because I believe Mike's Homer defensiveness, emotional Homer defensiveness. Or Dan's tone, because I believe that you guys didn't find that funny. I mean, it may not have been funny, but you guys specifically didn't find it funny because you guys want to do the Dion Waiters show.
I need you to hold my hand and guide me through this culture crossroads. And not just tell me I was wrong.
No, it's not about you. No, it's not
Can we relax, please? I mean, it's 27 games in, and they're 2.5 games out of the 5 seed. Can everyone relax?
Hold on a second.
The Bucks are 2.5 games better than the Heat, and Whiteside's been hurt most of the season.
But it's not just about the arbitrary measurement of getting to the playoffs as an 8 seed and losing in the first round. Pat Riley's about championships. He's at the end of his career. We're not doing success is getting in as the 7 in the East. That's not...
I'm just saying, Dan, they're 2.5 games out of the 4 seed right now.
And I'm just saying that Pat Riley's not going to live there. So it's a legitimate conversation to have if they're anywhere in that realm, now that the contracts can be traded, that Pat Riley's not going to live in a space where he's going to be okay at the end of his career with 7 seeds.
Are you saying, will he live with 4 seeds with this team or 5 seed or something like that?
Stugotz,
with this team, I'm saying.
No, he does. The problem with where the Heat are is they have built around a series of plan Bs. They've had to settle. They had to keep what they had. They had to keep the players so that you don't lose the fans, because then all of a sudden they don't know anybody and you're going into offseason and you're banking on being able to get Gordon Hayward.
Right.
So you've got to be able to settle on something that you could bring your fan base. And so they settled 4-year deals, movable contracts, tied them all together. So they were all built together and he could ship them in packages or whatever. And it was all built, but those were a series of plan Bs. And now you're faced with the idea that this team gets 7 threes in the first half from Wayne Ellington and still loses, what was it, double digits at home to Portland. What's their home record?
It wasn't. Oh, they're bad.
It wasn't double digits.
It wasn't double digits. They were in control of that game, and Waiters at the line and Dragic at the line. It was a 5-point loss.
Yeah, and they're 5-7 at home.
They're so bad at home. They're road warriors, really. You see their road splits against teams. They beat the teams they're supposed to on the road, and they have these puzzling losses at home.
Well, but they feel every bit what their record was last year. Not what their record was the second half, just what their record was last year. That to me isn't puzzling. That to me is what mediocre NBA teams do.
Yeah, but I've never seen a 500 like that. You can't blame me for thinking that they were the team that they were on the back end.
Oh, no, none of us have ever seen a 500 like last year, and that was a reason for hope. Hell, that was enough to even fool Pat Riley, because Pat Riley was telling you in those press conferences, he was saying, well, let's see what it was. Let's put them together and figure out, let's see if it was real or not.
I was so convinced we would have beat Boston last season. You saw what the Bulls did to them in that first round.
Yes. Yeah, that's funny.
Nobody wanted to play us. What's happened here?
Man, that's one of the things about sports windows is how quickly they close, man.
It's crazy, right?
Like, the Dallas Cowboys were 13-3 last year and looked like they were headed toward another championship. They were what Philadelphia has been this year. Dallas was last year what Philadelphia has been this year.
Weird season. I mean, they still have young guys at important positions. So.
I know, but they didn't look in any way the same, and you saw for yourself, oh, wait a minute, Dak Prescott's not a carrier.
Right.
Like, you didn't know that before. He's gunslinging with Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. You could say game manager and everything else, but his tools and everything that he was using, that offense doesn't look nearly the same as it used to.
Yeah, I thought you could put anybody behind that line and they'd kind of have like a DeMarco Murray season, but it would appear Ezekiel Elliott's special.
No, yes, I would say that, but I would also say that offensive line has gotten less good over the last couple of years of battering.
Yeah, they've been battling through some injuries this year too.
Like that offensive, to me, the best unit on that team wasn't ever Dez or Elliott or Dak. Dak and Elliott were getting all that credit, man. That offensive line, and it's aged. What happens is, like, I mean, can you even do it in the modern age? Is it possible? Tell me, because I don't know enough about offensive line play. Is it possible to keep together a mall unit in the NFL? You remember, like, the purple people eaters on defense, or the Steelers, the 1972 Dolphins, they were all guys who always played together.
Even the Redskins had the Hogs, an offensive line that played together.
Is it not possible to have that in the modern age? Like an offensive line of maulers who stay together for 7 years? Because I think these windows are very short on dominant offensive line, and I think it happens because of how physically taxing the whole thing is.
I don't know if it's possible. I mean, how long has that Cowboys line been playing together? Those guys.
I mean, pieces of that line, but that's what I'm saying. It has aged. The last one I remember like that was the Cowboys offensive line of Jimmy Johnson. Those guys seemed to stay together the entire time.
Eric Williams and Larry Allen.
But even the Patriots just flip-flop disposable offensive linemen.
They do. The Patriots do that, and they've done that for many, many years. I don't know. I don't know if it's possible. Because you're right, the windows are a lot shorter. They're a lot smaller.
I'm saying,
than they
look
used to
at what
be.
happened in Oakland. Oakland was good last year exclusively because their offensive line was great, and this year their offensive line stunk, and it caved everything in. Derek Carr. Will you remember what Derek Carr looked like last year compared to this year? Like, just what he felt like. I know that his yards per,
and he broke his back.
Yeah, well, that ended everything. There's that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cincinnati kept their unit for a long time, and you had the
great.
window. You had Andy Dalton looking like a good quarterback,
yes,
and you had A.J. Green. You wish you had a better quarterback because that was their window.
You saw it at the top end. That's what I'm talking. Thank you, Mike. That's a great example. You saw that was the top end of what it is that I'm talking about. That offensive line got great, was great, protected Andy Dalton, and the Bengals just kept believing firmly that Andy Dalton was going to make some sort of leap he never made, and now the offensive line has started deteriorating, and soon it will end Andy Dalton's career.
Yeah, the unit was so respected that they got priced out on these guys, and guys like Zietler, who's succeeding in Cleveland, and Whitworth, who's changed the entire fortune of that offensive line in Los Angeles.
Can I tell you something? Whitworth is my new Justin Smith.
Really?
He is
the guy that you watch every play?
The guy I'm watching every play, and I'm like, how are these behemoths like Terrell Suggs, how is he holding them away by like the forehead, like your father would a 10-year-old? This Whitworth guy, and you know what they love to do? They love to get him in space on one-man screens where he's the only guy out in front. And all you see is cornerbacks like running in every direction like cockroaches when you turn on a light in a kitchen.
And what's amazing about that is Whitworth's been in the NFL for a very long time. That's a 36-year-old man.
Dude, wait a minute.
He is massive.
No, I want to hear more about this human being because I've been watching him. He's got me watching. The Rams are an exciting offense, and he's got me watching left tackle play because I'm just looking at it. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding. Did he just punch that dude right in the throat?
He's 6'7"
and make that guy apologize. Like, did he just get an apology from the guy he just punched in the throat? 6'7" what?
Oh, 325 it says. He's more than that.
No.
Yeah.
What I haven't seen a lot of, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is these one-man screens, and I love them so much, these one-man blocking screens.
Right.
Where he's the only one out there, where he just heads out there because apparently he's fast somehow.
Right. He just takes out everyone.
And then you've got Gurley. And no, I want you to imagine this, Stugotz. I want you to imagine someone your size in the secondary. This is what I'm saying. This is what I love seeing. The cornerbacks just scatter. Like, it's just like they are so scared of that giant person coming.
Imagine if you somehow get past Whitworth using your speed, and your reward is Todd Gurley.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they have so many plays like that where I look up and I'm like, oh my God. God, there's Whitworth blocking for Gurley again. Everybody get out of the way.
I read an interesting article. It was on Deadspin about how they're predicting that the NFL is going to change everything. And one of the things that they're going to change is you see what's happening in Los Angeles and how that offense has gone from boring to exciting in 1 year. And McVay sort of cracked the code that you can say in the quarterback's helmet. So the NFL is probably looking at that and say, let's have the coaches in the quarterback's helmet even longer. More points, better offense, better quarterback play.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why they wouldn't do something like that.
I'm watching Whitworth right now on a wide receiver screen take everyone out for Sammy Watkins.
Does he? Wait. Oh, those are terrifying too. When it's not Gurley and it's Watkins, and you're like, they're just trying to get a guy out in space. And look,
watching it now.
Yes, they're trying to get somebody in space, and Whitworth creates space. It's like watching a whale move through a school of fish.
Holiday cash. Here's where to get it. MyBookie.ag is the place to score serious cash on your sports predictions. There are a lot of football, basketball, and hockey games. You can score big every day. Man up. Play like the pros. The money line, side, or total. MyBookie.ag is your hookup for all your betting with all the lines and super fast payouts. Join now and MyBookie.ag will match your deposit with up to a 50% bonus. Use promo code CHAMPION to activate the order. Don't leave the money on the table. MyBookie.ag, promo code CHAMPION, and your first deposit is matched up to 50%. Play where the pros play because they get paid. MyBookie.ag.
Don Batard.
This is quintessential Stugotz. Hobnobbing with people in Utah. What's the most ambiguous general sentence I could give these Utah fans? I got it. If Rudy Gobert can stay healthy, you guys are on to something. And that's not the quintessential Stugotz part. This is 5 months later. Told you so.
Stugotz.
That is quintessential Stugotz, man. Just give them a sentence that doesn't mean anything and then make sure to keep tabs on it so 6 months later you can say you were right about something. Even though what you originally said wasn't right or wrong, it's just a sentence.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
So a guy writes in, as expected, Dan, the company man. Boston Globe article. Talk about it. So ESPN has now had a bad story written about it based on some allegations about sexual harassment. And what I will tell you is that ESPN's past that I've read about before this is a lot more egregious than what I just read about. What I just read about, and ESPN, you might want to check out those of you gloating and wanting to laugh in my face somehow because you think I'm ESPN. You might want to read some of the things that ESPN's more aggressive PR team is sending out that will give you the context on this story that will be interesting to you. And PR is handling it. And it doesn't, like ESPN's been taking a beating for a long time here. And it doesn't look, if you look at how PR handled this particular Boston Globe story, where PR was sending out all of the context that makes the story feel flimsy. It's all, now I don't know, you can believe whoever you want to believe. This is one of the things that makes all of this so difficult. And I don't know what happened.
Right.
But what I'm telling you that I find interesting about that article, having read it, is I know ESPN's past on this subject. I've read about it in books. It's bad. It's gotten a million times better. And this story was written not to get at sexual harassment, I don't think. This story was written to put ESPN in a headline because it would grab people. This is a timely story. And again, I'm saying this is not Russell Simmons.
Right.
What the New York Times is reporting about rape. These are this is just, hey, throw ESPN in that big cauldron with all the other sexual harassment we've got. Don't clean any of that. Don't separate the laundry. Just throw all of it. Throw Simmons and Weinstein and all of the debauchery and crime and Spacey and all these people. Throw that in there. Morgan Spurlock yesterday, the director, did a preventative thing where he hasn't even been accused of anything yet, and he's raising his hand and saying, I did it, because who knows who's chasing him.
Right.
Your food's going to taste worse now because the whole chef industry is mourning. Like all of us are going to be eating less well.
Spurlock really did that yesterday?
Yeah, he came out
More
yesterday.
people are going to start doing that, right?
I mean, the ones who are afraid and don't want to live with the fear.
Right.
It's curious because he's sort of like the first space monkey shot into space with this "I'm part of the problem" essay.
Well, you know what this has done, and I imagine I cannot be alone on this, and this is part of what is healing and good and just about what is happening in this country right now. This has made me go over my past with a fine-tooth comb in a way I've never thought about it before because I've just always behaved the way that I behave. And I've been like, let's see what might be able to be seen as possibly perceived or misinterpreted as inappropriate. And thankfully, my conscience is clean. Like,
you articulated, I think everybody in life right now is taking an inventory.
And that's good, man. That is good because so much of what's happening right now, I don't think there's been a turn. There has been a turn on some of this stuff where men have been forced finally to listen. And, you know, much of it's going to feel uncomfortable and much of it's going to feel unfair. I've heard plenty of men making men victims in this situation, talking about possible false allegations and the dangers of that. Whatever the dangers of that aren't nearly as bad as what these women have actually suffered in silence in a long time. This is the whole idea of privilege, Stugotz. Men feel like their pain is somehow bigger. You have been unjust to me by creating a world where now someone can just accuse me of something and I might be guilty, and the man makes himself there a victim instead of the fact of why this is happening, which is men have behaved poorly for such a long time and women have stayed in silence that now they're screaming. The silence has been for so long that now it doesn't come out muted or diluted. Now, when it's finally released and allowed out into the open, it sounds a hell of a lot like a cry for pain and a scream for help.
No doubt. And what they've been through, you're right, is way worse. But still, to be falsely accused of anything, of something, feels terrible.
I know, but that's not what we're dealing with right now. What we're dealing with is just...
I'm saying if someone was falsely accused.
Of course. If Russell Simmons is not guilty, of course that would feel terrible. This is what it's forced us all to examine, right, Stugotz? Because this part's hard. Like, anybody listening to me now, so many of you, I was corrected last week when we were talking about podcasts, and I was talking about how can you possibly listen to more than one or two podcasts a day? There's not time in the day. And many of you corrected me. And this is not my prism because when I work, I can't do anything but work. Many of you said, no, I've got an 8-hour workday. It allows me to just do nothing but listen to podcasts. I could just sit around and I could listen to this. And so you illuminated this for me because I didn't know this existed. But what I was saying, I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about, being falsely accused of crimes like this.
And learning new information about the podcast and how you were wrong and thinking that people couldn't find time. But they illuminated you and saying, no, I'm at work and I have all this time because you couldn't see yourself in that because you have a job where you can't listen to a podcast.
Right. No, I know that's what that's everything I said. I just lost my train of thought getting there and I can't now find it back.
You were going to call Dion Waiters overweight.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was going to do. Or was I going to call Bruce Sherman again? Is that what I was going to do?
Was it?
Did the alarm go off?
The alarm has.
Well, Billy's not here.
Billy's not here.
Oh no,
that's a problem.
And so okay, let's see.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on something. So we're okay with a Heat rebuild?
Yeah, they'll do it right.
Not the Marlins. Okay.
I wouldn't be if Michael Hill was doing it, Chris. I see what you're trying to do.
Oh, no, but there are two different rebuilds. Like, that's totally fair.
You can't compare they're two different franchises.
But it's not even that. It's not about a credibility thing. It's two different rebuilds because under no circumstance, because of the salary cap, not even because you trust the Heat that much, although you may, because of the salary cap, you know that whatever the Heat do won't, it might be wrong, but it's not going to be on the cheap. It can't be. It can't be profit over success. That's why the two things are different. But what do we want to do here, Allison, with Bruce Sherman?
Into the microphone?
I mean, I suppose the microphone would help. About calling him every day, I just think we should leave it alone.
No, well, that's not one of the solutions. Okay. No, that's not. That's exactly the wrong answer. $2. Leave it alone is not one of the answers. All right, I'm going to call.
Hold on. So we should call him every day.
Right. What do you want me to say? How do you want me to answer, Dan? Allison, why do you think it's a bad idea?
That's the worst possible answer. Hold on. Hold on. Let me explain to the audience what's happening here.
Okay.
Bruce Sherman is the new owner of the Marlins, but he's in the shadows hiding. And the other day, this was a very underrated moment on the show. The other day, we called his office, and his assistant answered. And I said I wanted to leave a message for Bruce Sherman. Can you tell him that Dan Le Batard called, and I'd like to know why it is that he keeps using Derek Jeter as a meat shield? And her response was, Mr. Sherman would like all questions directed to Mr. Jeter. And so
she wants you to ask Jeter that question.
No.
Stugotz didn't get it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Not our best. Well, okay, hold on. Let's stop for a second.
Did you not say all questions directed to Mr. Jeter?
Hold on.
It's just ironic that her response would be.
Hold on.
No, I get the ironic part of it.
Hold on.
Get mad at me.
This right here is the oldest moment in the show's history. I want to sink into it, and I want you guys to let it wash over you, okay? What just happened to me there has never happened to me before in the history of the show, where I just totally lose my train of thought and can't recover it. Right. And still don't know where it was. I'm going to go searching for it during the break.
All right.
But in the middle of that, perfectly, and this is the show aging, and this is the other side of jumping the shark, and this is like the tipping point, and here we go, cascading into our mortality. All right. You didn't understand what I feel like I explained perfectly well. I don't believe there was any confusion, and you didn't understand it at all. And so here's what happened.
I feel like I did.
Let me explain it to you again. And the worst part of it is that you were here and saw it and still don't remember or know why it's funny.
Yeah. That was a couple of days ago. It feels like a couple of years.
I called Bruce Sherman's assistant to ask her to leave him a message. Why is he using Jeter as a meat shield? Right. And her response was to direct that question to Jeter.
Oh.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
I'll tell you one guy you don't want to mess with is Ryback. You could watch a movie on his back in the competition. He gets the crowd chanting, "Feed me more!"
Stugotz.
How was that you hit by Ryback like that? Good night! Oh! I get a sore throat watching Ryback. Don't do it, Ryback! Oh! Watch out for Ryback.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on the ticket.
All right, I need to figure out with Allison what we're going to do here with Bruce Sherman, the new owner of the Marlins. I'm actually doing some actual reporting on this one, and so I'm trying to get my hands on some documents.
Really?
Yeah, I'm doing some actual reporting.
Nice. Been a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a writer.
Brush off the cobwebs?
Yeah, brush it off. Yeah, I'm coming out of retirement. Old punch drunk fighter. One last paycheck. I mean, you just heard me last segment. I'm stumbling around, losing his memory.
This is your final piece of journalism
This is it. One last punch before I go. I think Norman Mailer did it that way. Not to compare myself to the greats. He did it in his, I think in his 90s, like still writing right to the grave.
A lot of parallels between you and George Foreman, mainly the body.
Yeah.
So you need to get your hands on some documents?
I'm just doing.
Seems like a job for me. I mean,
I'm just doing reporting is all I'm doing. I'm trying to do some reporting.
You're something more than a clown.
We'll see. You know what? We'll see if I succeed, though, because the last time I tried something like this, I failed. It was during the LeBron stuff. It was like I was trying to piece together how that stuff happened, talking to a lot of people, and I just kept running into dead ends. That guy has a fortress. And not that this is surprising, but wouldn't you love to know some of the inner secrets of like all the things that need to be done to protect all of that?
Yes.
Because it was a force field. I couldn't get near anything. It was amazing to watch because like there are a lot of businesses in there that get harmed if LeBron gets harmed.
Right. And you couldn't even get close?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Allison remembers. That was Allison working. Allison, you remember? Allison was trying to help me. Allison gets everybody. And it just was like electric fence. I'm having a conversation with Lambo, the rapper boyfriend.
Wait, that's as close as you got?
The real Lambo. Yeah, the real Lambo. The boyfriend of Gloria James. And like, I'm interviewing him, and I mean, I can't even explain to you, if you do not know what we're talking about here, who this person is. But there were people on the line while I was talking to him, and he was saying nothing with people on the line. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Do you want to talk about this or not? Like, why'd you even call me? And then he started talking about his album.
How was it?
Well, we've gone into business together. I'm going to be managing him. I'm going to see if I can make him rise into the sky. New Kendrick Lamar. So I retraced my steps and finally found what it is that I was talking about last segment, where I lost my way. That I was illuminated by the podcasters because I thought you could only listen to 2 hours a day of podcast. And no, you can listen to 8 hours a day if you want, if you're doing it at work. It's not something that I'd seen before. And what this sexual harassment stuff has illuminated me to and made me have like uncomfortable conversations with my male friends who are like a little unsure of how to answer questions about the whole re-examining the idea of office dating and the dangers of it. Like all of this stuff has made me sort of look back in places where I haven't looked before. And there's just value in that. There's value in that for women. There's value in that at human resources. There's value for that in workplace culture of all kinds. Men have dominated this thing for so long. And you see by the nature of the number of women coming forward and feeling empowered by this, you can't help but you can't help but feel this movement. Like, no matter how cold you are, like that kind of pain humanizes women. Like, I don't know how you can't just sort of be like, oh, I am sorry that you have silently had to feel scared and like prey around powerful men. Like, every time I read one of these apologies, I mean, man, Stugotz, being accused of rape in the New York Times, as Russell Simmons has been, specifically when Russell Simmons is trying to be, publicly at least, and I think privately, this very spiritual soul, to be accused of that.
Right.
And to come back defending the way that he did, where he's saying, well, all of this was consensual. All of this was consensual. The gap between those two things.
What he thought was consensual and
what a woman is going to the New York Times because she's still suffering the pain all these years later. Not a woman, multiple women. Like, how do we bridge that gulf? And the answer is you force yourself in this climate to examine some of your own behavior. Like, how can you not?
You have to.
And that's why the movement is important. That's why this stuff is going to win all the journalism awards this year. Like, it's
why it was Time Person of the Year.
Yeah, no, it's been the biggest story this year, I think, right?
But it's so important. Stugotz, like this. Yeah, these things, a lot of minorities can feel similar pain, okay? And I've heard Bomani say this about Jemele Hill. Jamel's got it worse than all of us. Jamel's got it worse than all of us because she's not just black. She's a black woman in sports, and she just gets buried by male power and racism and everything else. And so the idea that these women are coming forward now and actually getting a result is something that black people would also like in the present climate, where you're coming forward now with your pain. You don't want to be shouted down. You don't want fights. You're coming forward with your pain, and you'd like it to lead to the kind of movement that you've just seen among women, where all of a sudden it's not just women, it's men coming to the defense of women. It's Terry Crews, a black man in Hollywood, sitting there pounding the drum on, I was sexually harassed. Me, Terry Crews, look at me. I'm more of a man than all of you. Look at me. I'm in commercials shirtless because I'm more of a man than all of you. Him coming forward and lending his support and his weight and his voice by saying, I was sexually harassed by a powerful man in Hollywood.
It's a great point, but women are seeing progress in a way that African Americans are not seeing any progress.
Which might explain some of the anger and hostility between all the parties. Because, yes, I would see where black people would get really frustrated with not being met with what women are now being met with. You are hearing our pain. And Terry Crews of all people is understanding. Terry Crews, who has come on here and told you about how poisonous his porn addiction was to his life and to his marriage. Terry Crews, who came from a janitor, a football player, was a janitor, was broke, and is now just spreading positivity everywhere he can, and that positivity has been rewarded with enormous success just because people want to be around his energy. Likable person, like really just, diluted rock, but the same kind of person. You just want to be around that energy. That guy has lent his voice when, Stugotz, the judgment that will be rained down on a black man, a man and a black man, who allowed another man to grab him in public and didn't do anything about it, Terry Crews went out there and volunteered that because he wants to support these women.
It's pretty amazing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that we're being forced to listen. But I am telling you that the struggles are similar. Or maybe the struggles aren't similar, or maybe parts of the struggles are similar, but the feelings are similar. Like that, it is what black people are calling out for. Like, hear our pain, feel our pain, and have it move you into something that feels like support. Like, these women feel so supported by men right now. Like, men have never been more supportive than they're being right now. Men as a gender. When have they ever been this supportive? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
We talk all the time around here in sports about the idea that it feels sometimes like men don't like women, that they hate them, that they hate women. The way you treat women with the names that you call them, what Allison has to deal with when Lenny Dykstra's on the phone.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think women are getting this kind of male support in a way that the
Because we feel their pain. It's the same thing as the Shazier thing, where all of us can understand it. There are these connection points. That bullying video that went viral. All of us could understand the helpless kid who's not like the rest of the kids crying in his car because he's being bullied at school. Anybody can look at that and it reaches them because we all remember our childhoods. And you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
you need, but that's why so often black people feel dehumanized, because it's like, why isn't our pain worth anything to you? Why won't you feel our pain? Why is our pain less than?
And it's not as relatable?
This is what's happening now with male support has to be, don't you think? It has to be a consequence of men are coming out and saying, man, I didn't know that it was like this for you. I didn't know you were this frustrated. I didn't know you were this damaged. That you were this damaged. Like the quote I keep hearing is broken. I didn't know that men in some ways were doing to you what pedophiles do to children. Like, take advantage of a situation in a way that leaves you feeling broken and makes a disconnect between rape and Russell Simmons, Yogi Russell Simmons saying, no, I'm just about peace and love. These were all consensual relationships. Like, that gulf right there needs to be bridged, and we're in real time bridging it. Like, that's what we are building the bridge right now. A lot more to build.
The praise is pouring in via text here, by the way.
Oh, I'm getting crushed, right? I'm just getting crushed for doing serious subject matter and not.
Go back to Olynyk trades. One says yawn. The other says, "Can we move on, please?" Dan, we get it. Stu, you're crushing it this segment.
I did just steamroll you a couple of times.
That's okay. No, I want it to be steamrolled, to be honest with you.
Allison noticed that one time. I saw her looking at you. Allison, I saw that look on your face. You were looking at Stugotz like, just with disdain and just like, Stugotz, give him something. Just give him a thought.
Give you what?
I know, I steamrolled you. I steamrolled you. Yeah. I'm on your side on this one. I saw how it happened. I'm not on Allison's side on this one.
What other thoughts are there? I mean, it's going on for 25 minutes.
I know, I did. I took all the thoughts. I did.
That's every day of my life, every minute of my existence with Stugotz.
What, you take all the thoughts?
No, I just have this, I have this perpetual mute button with you, but then when you talk and there's sometimes I'm like, all
right. Allison, put it on the poll. Was Dan a ball hog with the thoughts? Because I was Dion Waiters that segment.
Did Dan take all the thoughts?
Did Dan take all the thoughts? That's even better. But I was Dion Waiters that segment.
Speaking of, I just opened up the trade machine.
Oh, nice.
How do you feel about the fact that I'm in better shape than Dion Waiters?
Not great. Not great. Whew.
He doesn't look quite as fast, does he?
No.
That's amazing. Rarely does it happen quite like that. Rarely is the contract here quite that obvious.
And I know he's got a bad ankle, and that might be some of the
speed. For sure. No, for sure. For sure.
But the optics of just the belly hanging out and not physically, he's always kind of had, even when he was in cut last year, he was absolutely cut last year. His face always kind of looks chunky. He has one of those faces.
It's like me.
Yeah. Well, not quite. Anyways, you knew that the body was there because on social media he was showing
That's
you.
right.
And now all I see is me hoping that he just stands in better light because the shadows are not doing him any favors.
What's the trade machine telling you?
Well, where do we want to ship Dion Waiters to? Who's dumb enough to take this contract?
Well, that's the problem. Who's going to take these contracts? I mean, you're saying they're tradable contracts.
Oh, no, they have contracts with value. That ain't one of them.
It's not that bad, though. An $11 million a year contract isn't terrible, even for Dion Waiters. Like a team could use a Dion Waiters on their bench, and $11 million is fair.
No. A team would pay that much for the Dion Waiters you got for half a season last year. I don't think anybody trades for that contract right now. You
don't think we can fool somebody?
Mike, I can't believe Miami was fooled. I can't. And it's partially fooled because it is fair what you're saying about his ankle. That is going to keep you that whole thing though played out. And I don't blame Dion Waiters for 1 second, Stugotz, but he didn't get what he needed to get done at the end of last season in terms of surgical procedures. Because he needed to protect the idea of his contract and pass physicals and all that stuff. And he very clearly last year was about the money and Dion getting his. Dion has always been about Dion getting his. And then he leaves at the end of the season. You see the season collapses. In a way it didn't. But he was crucial to their success. Dion Waiters at the height of his powers.
Well, that Dion Waiters, yes.
But Dion Waiters at the height of his powers is what gets him drafted as high as it is. But Dion Waiters being a knucklehead is why Dion Waiters hasn't been very good his entire career and why he was drafted even as high as he was drafted, lower than he should have been.
You don't think we can trick the Knicks or something?
No.
I mean, not with Phil Jackson. I feel like you could have tricked Phil Jackson, but remember, he's got Beasley.
Yeah, post Phil Jackson, they got Enes Kanter, and they signed Tim Hardaway Jr. to that deal.
Hardaway Jr. is hurt, so maybe you can trick the Knicks.
Yeah, maybe.
He is hurt.
Who else can you trick?
The Kings. I feel you're always good for tricking the Kings.
What do you want?
What do you want from Sacramento?
Vince Carter and Zebo? What are you going to get from Sacramento?
That'd be fun, actually.
Zebo's all right, so I think Zebo can play till he's 54.
Right, and give you 12 and 10.
Yeah.
I do too.
He's never relied on his athleticism, ever.
That's just plant himself under the basket. He'll mop up 10 rebounds.
Oh, wait a minute.
Let's get him.
I haven't called Bruce Sherman yet.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Carry me for a second while I dial this.
Call him Bruce Sherman. How about the Jazz, maybe?
Maybe.
Yeah.
While Dan's doing this, can we just be nicer to Chris, the assistant? I was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'll do that. That was bad. That was bad work by me.
Right.
Yes,
you got to butter her up, Dan.
Well, I'm not going to do that, but that was bad.
No,
work.
but just nicer tone. Yes. Just take it easy on her. It's Friday, by the way.
That's fine.
People are generally in a better mood, so you be in a good mood, and maybe she'll have a weak moment.
Yeah, open up with a quip about Friday, TGIF. Am I right? Do it however you want, but I think that would help. What about Memphis?
Ooh, I like Memphis.
It's just ringing. It's just ringing. This is what happened yesterday. I think they're on to me, and this line and me calling from this line because he's a billionaire.
We can get Gasol, right? Waiters for Gasol?
I'm going to have to make this bleed over into the national show now.
But Gasol got Fizdale fired. They haven't won a game since Fizdale's been fired.
Waiters
yeah, this is what it did yesterday. This is what it did yesterday.
Yeah,
exactly what happened yesterday.
You've been blocked, just so you know.
I think something's happened here. Yeah, like
I'm telling you what's happened here. You've been blocked. They have blocked your number.
All right, I'm going to try another number here. Allison's given me another number.
All right. Mike, what do you want back from, if you can't get Gasol, what do you want from Memphis?
Conley. Waiters and Wayne Simeon for Mike Conley Jr. Remember all those trades? Now, with what happened with the Marlins, I'm all in on Waiters for Gasol. But 1-for-1, swap. Let's do it.
Seems fair.
Did this billionaire change his number already on me? I will hunt you down, Sherman. He changed his number. Let's call his house next, Allison. We're going to call his house. Let's call his house. I'm going to leave a message at his house. Let's do that next.